All right. All the DMM participants, we do have reserved seats in front for the Q&A session. So if you guys want to move up here. Yeah, all these reserved rooms right here. Over here towards the middle. These two rows right here.
Hello, 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 hello. How are y'all? Oh, come on, a little more. How are y'all? Thank you so much. Hungry. We got to watch some films first, then you get to eat. I know it's been a long journey. Hello, my name is Chad Johnston. I'm the CEO of CreaTV San Jose. Welcome to Open San Jose, and welcome to the 2023 DocumentorMe screening. If you don't know what we do here at CreaTV, basically we teach people how to make media, we produce media, and we distribute local content about San Jose, about our community. We gather and convene community to build diverse networks and to encourage collaborative change making and civic engagement. We believe deeply in storytelling. We believe in sharing truths and listening openly. We believe that every time someone opens the door to understanding, we all grow. We do this work by building relationships, building connections, building capacities for nonprofits, building technical skills with community members who would not otherwise have the access and resources to training. We're basically trying to build a future of San Jose that works equitably for everyone. Just a little job. DocumentorMe is one of our long-form mentorship programs. Each year, we have folks apply for the program, and then in 12 to 15 weeks, participants learn all the technical and storytelling skills in order to create a short documentary. They come every weekend. They spend hours and hours outside of class creating the pieces that you're going to see tonight. Oh no, I know. It's really hard work. Each participant is paid a stipend because we know that this is taking time out of your life and your day-to-day activities. We were short-staffed, and so I got to pitch in and interview all of this year's participants. And it's so cool because I haven't actually seen you since Zoom for the most part. So I'm like, oh, here are these stars. And I got to hear their ideas. We've been doing this since 2019, and I was honestly just floored by the the diversity of stories, the concept of stories. Like when we started the program, we had tons of people apply, but the story concepts weren't so good. And now we have less people apply, but their stories are incredible. I mean, the stories that folks want to tell. So I feel very blessed that I got to be part of that interview process. I don't get to do a lot of fun work, so that was fun. Yeah, these folks have been on a journey. I haven't been there, but I know y'all have been on a journey. So congrats to all of you, and I'm really excited to see you in person. Should we give them a hand? They're nervous. Yeah. This is also a tremendous amount of work for our dedicated staff, and I would like to especially thank Constance Button and George Gomez, who were the leads this year, and supported by Abby Walsh, all of them in our community media department. I don't know where they are, but if you could give them a hand. They're in the back there. And of course, Blake and Rick, who also interned and volunteered. Blake has interned with our youth program and our adult program. Rick has volunteered for each DocumentorMe program each year. So thanks to them as well. And then all of our staff help with this. And many of them are making the show go on tonight. So thanks to them. This year's program would not be possible without the National Endowment for the Arts and their support, as well as individual contributors like you. If you're interested in supporting CreaTV's work, there's a QR code conveniently located outside of this room there. So with that, I'd like to thank you so much for coming out tonight, and I would like to bring up to the stage Constance. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for enduring all the traffic and delays to get here. We're very happy that you could join us. And, just coming up in the next few minutes, we're going to have a very interesting and just compelling and personal assortment of local stories from this year's cohort of documentarians. They did great work. They've learned a lot. It's been a pleasure to see you guys grow and learn and do great stuff. And so we are going to get started in just a moment. And I hope you all enjoy these documentaries as much as we do. Thank you, and please give another round of applause to this year's cohort.
The months leading up to my son's autism diagnosis were the most difficult to navigate. In hopes to find answers and comfort, I did a lot of reading and watched numerous videos of parents on this journey. Soon after, though, I started to notice a pattern was starting to emerge. The statement, autistic kids are kids too, kept coming up. I know, it's with good intentions, but the word too didn't sit well with me because it lacked inclusivity and felt as though these children were taking up spaces that didn't belong to them. I remember one evening, as I watched my son play, I thought, you are not an accident. You're here because you belong. So I wrote, I'm here, on the first page of a journal I had just purchased earlier that day and put it away.
I'm Helena.
My name is Martha.
My name is Yvonne Liu.
My name is Elizabeth Arciga.
I'm a mom of two. At the age of 3, my son was diagnosed with autism.
My first child is Sophia, and she's 13 years old.
I'm a full-time mother, and they are both on the autism spectrum.
My son, Arlo Covarrubias, he's about to be 6 years old, was diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old.
Right after he turned 3 years old, we had an appointment with his pediatrician, and at that point he wasn't still talking. We were assigned a speech pathologist, and right away she recommended that we get him screened for autism. That was a very hard revelation for us because neither myself nor my husband knew anybody that is on the spectrum. So this was news to us. I absolutely believe that early intervention is so important. And no matter how scary it seems, to keep in mind that you're not alone. Getting answers and getting the help that the child needs and deserves, it's not only a wise choice, but it's also a responsibility.
And when she was 5 years old, the school noticed there was differences between her and other students. So I had to tell her 2, 4, 5 times in order to do one task, and she forgets. And I thought it was part of growing up.
As soon as he turned 2 years old, we noticed he was not speaking, and not doing a lot of things that somebody at his age was already doing. So that's how we started the diagnosis process.
My first baby was diagnosed to be on the PDD-NOS side of the spectrum at the age of 5.5 years old. And at the same time, his baby brother was about 2.5 years old. Because of my firstborn's diagnosis, so we have our secondborn checked as well. Then we realized that the secondborn was actually square at the middle of the autism spectrum, and his condition is even more so than his brother.
The shift happened when I realized that autism didn't happen to me or to us. I realized that he was born autistic. It didn't happen the moment, the speech pathologist brought it up or upon diagnosis. He was born neurodivergent. I've never known him to be any different. That's the child I was given. That's the child I had raised until the age of 3. And I realized I had just met him for the first time. And that's what the diagnosis meant for us as a family. For me, support means meeting people where they are, meaning by providing an environment that nurtures and support when building parks and recreational centers to add sensory-friendly spaces so that all the parks are for all kids, because neurodivergent kids are kids who just see the world differently.
If you see a kid on the street or in the grocery store or even in the park, smile. Just smile. Say hi. Don't give him a bad look because he's having a hard time. Maybe that kid doesn't want to be around there. He wants to have his own time. So give him a chance to be a kid.
Just be more understanding of the differences and respect and just support.
We have gone from trying to make our kids pretend to be like neurotypical to the realization that we have to celebrate neurodiversity. But to be successful about celebrating neurodiversity, we need people to understand and give them space and the opportunities to be part of the society. So next time when you see something you don't understand, please try to be kind and not use your judgment, but try to understand.
I advise you to advocate for your kids and for our kids, for them to take up space, not to make excuses or apologize on their behalf, because they're not afterthoughts. They're here, they matter, and they are part of this society, just like every one of us, except they see the world a bit differently.
My dreams for my children, I think I just want them to be themselves and being accepted as themselves. I hope that they can have the ability to enjoy life, and that's what I dream for them. Yeah.
My hopes and dreams for my son is for him to be accepted for who he is. I wouldn't change a thing about him. I know sometimes it's challenging for us as parents and for him as well to navigate, a world that was designed for neurotypical folks. But I just want him to be accepted and loved and seen.
Wait, can you check the camera? Is it still good?
Yeah, you're solid.
Okay. One more time. Hey everyone. Many of you know me as Jose Jaime Escobar Patricio, Grand Admiral Darth, Jaime, or all these names that I've given myself throughout the years. I wanted to make this documentary just to wrap my life so far. I wanted to talk about my life, like when I was born all the way to now. It's just a nice little recap to explain who I am to you guys. I was born in Mexico, Toluca, when I was in 1996. And my parents decided to have a better life for me, so we came to San Jose, and that's kind of where I've lived through a majority of my life. I went to Almaden Elementary School, then I went to John Muir Middle School and Pioneer High School, so it's always revolved around this little local area in San Jose, and that's kind of how my upbringing came to be. So I feel like I'm very much a suburban kid, like a suburban white boy that's been Mexican washed. Man, I remember when I first started at San Jose State, I knew no one. I still think about it to this day. I knew 0 people. Everyone where I graduated went to their own universities, and I just felt so alone on my first week of SJSU. I just felt like I did not belong anywhere, and I felt like I was an imposter. Like, why am I here? How do I make friends? How do I talk? How do I smile? How do I show that I'm friendly? And it's one of those things where I started asking questions that I didn't know the answer to, and I didn't know how to go about it. Luckily, that's where I found it. That's where I found a group of students called Student Advocates for Higher Education, where I met some of my longest friends I ever had, and the ones that I still talk to this day. So it's one of those things where if you find your community, you find your people, you'll find your way. The biggest challenge has always been my citizenship, my legal status in the United States. Even though I feel like I was born here most of the time, I just feel like I'm part of, I just feels hard grasping the idea that I'm different from everyone else when I don't feel like I'm different from anyone else. I'm like made of the same flesh. I'm made of this. I think alike like everyone else, except the only thing that stops me from being like everyone else is like I wasn't born in the United States. There's like this paper that says born in Mexico, and it was like born in the US, and that's makes me different from them, even though it's always been this like the same material, the same way thoughts and thinking, same way to approach problems and solve them, but paper that sets us apart is what makes a big difference. I have to wait for Congress, I have to wait for the Senate, I have to wait for people to decide my fate. I don't let them decide my fate. That's why I decided to master's in robotics, and which is in mechatronics, and which is mechanical engineering under mechatronics, and hone in on that new field. And this talk is going to be on the design and development of a lightweight, high torque, and cost-effective exoskeleton. At the end of the day, I'm always trying to go back to what really inspired me, and that's always been science fiction like Halo, Interstellar, The Martian, or any movies that are related to beyond. because I feel like in space, there's no borders in space. And at the end, that's what I like about thinking in a bigger way, is that this little Earth, this little pebble in the universe has all these humans, and there's so much beyond out there. And that's kind of what inspires me to just continue doing what I'm doing, because we're all the same. This is all fate, and this is how the struggle is what builds you. And if I had to go, like, if you ask me the question right now, would I go back in time and try to change anything from my life? And I'll say no. I wouldn't change my status either, because it's my status, my legal status, that put these barriers and challenges in front of me. And because there's these challenges, I have to go beyond and break that challenge and find new innovative ways to go beyond it. So I feel like all the challenges that were put in place for me have kind of evolved my brain in a way to think differently from everyone else, or think in a different approach. Because when there's a challenge, I'm always thinking, well, there's always a step B, there's always a step C, there's always something beyond. There's not really a barrier, that's just something temporary, and I just have to go around it. And for me, I feel like that's been my biggest strength myself, is how do I learn from others, how do I adapt myself, and how do I break this challenge that's just temporarily here.
Hi, I'm Chuck Cantrell. I'm a father, a son, a husband, and an economist. I spent most of my career helping large corporations pivot, change, and maximize profitability. But my real passion has been economics and the study of how these systems impact the lives of all of us. Along the way, I found some data that frankly scared me. And I think it might scare you too. I've been looking at employment trends from 1974 till now, and the recessionary periods within those trends. Here's something I found. African Americans reach what we call full employment at a period just before every recessionary period since this data has been tracked. It's that point where we are fully absorbed within the labor market. Interestingly, it's not many moments that a recessionary period takes hold, and employment has to decline as companies are forced to lay off. There's a simple principle that HR uses in corporations throughout America. They call it last in, first out. On the surface, that seems fair. I mean, really, the last people in the door are probably the least experienced, the least merged into the corporation and its culture. But there's a very harsh reality, an unfair reality about this dynamic. If African Americans are the last to be absorbed within the labor force, they are the last in, and therefore, at each recessionary period, the first out. There's also an additional pressure point that happens with each of these turns for African Americans. Each time they're able to be reemployed, again, late in the business cycle, their salaries have declined. And during that period of the in-between, when they are laid off and unemployed, their savings decline as well. It's a fact of life for many of us. So when you think about that simple policy and what it means to be last in, means to be stuck within a cycle. The impacts of this for the African American community, specifically in Santa Clara County, are unduly harsh. Let's take a look at Santa Clara County. Let's look at its growth rate. It looks pretty healthy. It looks like a normal growing community that year over year builds. But let's take a step back. Let's look at African Americans within this very same community. We'll see growth until 1990, at which point the actual number, the real number of population begins to take a significant decline, a decline from which we will never recover. For the last 30 years, we have continued this slide down to the point where now African Americans represent less than 3% of the population of Santa Clara County. While at the same time, we see growth for African Americans in a different community. When you look at the percentage of African Americans within our unhoused community, we actually represent 18% in Santa Clara Valley, while at the same time, we represent less than 3% of the general population. If you look a little further, you'll find that the mortality rates in the unhoused community can reach as much as 20%. While African Americans overrepresent significantly in that population, we necessarily overrepresent in the population of the souls that perish on our streets. If we reflect on the overnight count of our unhoused population, there's a survey that goes along with it. The two things that are top in that survey that are responded to by our unhoused population are the things that impact them most, the reason they are unhoused. Number one, wages, jobs, unemployment. And number two, housing cost. The cost of housing in our valley, as we all know, has become so high that many of us can no longer afford it. If you're unemployed in this valley, you can't afford housing in this area. If you've grown to love this community as many of us have, you can't afford to leave. Unfortunately, you find home in our streets, near our streams, and in doorways. And eventually, you find death. I spent a lot of time researching this and looking at 18 points of data, looking at the impacts of that data in terms of our viability here. I didn't just do it myself. I actually employed an AI. I had it look at the same data and simply do a trend analysis and tell me, at what point will African Americans be no longer relevant statistically within our community? At which point will African Americans become extinct in Santa Clara County? 50 years. That was a generous estimate. My data independently says 35 years. This is within many of our lifetimes where we will simply perish. African Americans want nothing less, but nothing more than anyone else in this community. We want to live free. We want to live free of the constraints of our economic systems that continue to impact us so negatively, so profoundly, so consistently. So as you might think that African Americans are leaving Santa Clara County because of the suppressed income, because of obviously the housing cost, you're mistaken. We're not leaving. We're literally dying to stay here.
Have you ever walked on a street with people all around you but felt like an outsider? It would be as if you were in a glass jar floating in the ocean. Although you were in the ocean, you and the ocean were separate. I experienced this sensation of estrangement when I first came to this country as a foreign student. Many years later, I now have 2 children on the autism spectrum. They too have experienced this sense of social disconnection. In my case, the condition was strengthened and eased by friends with similar experiences. I got married and received my PhD degree. I knew who I was and what I wanted in life. My children's situations, however, were permanent. They were both born with autism. Throughout their lives, they have been subjected to the scrutiny of others. My first child, Luke, is intelligent enough to understand gravity at the age of 4, but he does not have much social intuition. To show you what this lack of intuition feels like, I asked my film instructor, Constance, to provide a demonstration.
Hi, Constance. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Could you tell me what you did today?
Sure. Today I gave a presentation.
Could you tell me what you did today, but don't use the letter S?
Okay. Today I talked about feedback.
As you can see, lacking social intuition makes life rather difficult. When Luke was in 2nd grade, his father found him sitting behind a slide, hugging his own knees and rocking back and forth. He was all alone. According to my son, sometimes playing was easy, like walking into an open hallway, but most of the time, being with others was, in his own words, like the doors were shut and I could not find even a crack to get into. My second son, Alan, loves numbers. At the age of 2, I taught him how to count from 1 to 10. A few months later, he overheard his brother counting from 1 to 100. He figured out that there was a repeated pattern in every 10 counts. We thought that he was really smart, but he would not talk. It was a full-time job for him to learn how to communicate and to make sense of the world surrounding him. Alan has been helped by psychologists, psychiatrists, ABA therapists, speech therapists, and occupational therapists. Every aspect of life had to be taught to him in small bits. In order to meet Alan's unique learning style, he went to special schools far away from home. For many years, we spent about 3 hours a day in traffic. During the pandemic, Alan took one-on-one individualized classes online and received his high school diploma virtually. After high school, Alan has been waiting to get into state-funded programs. Due to staffing shortages, most programs have long wait lists. We have tried our best to fill his days with stimulating learning, community service, and fun activities.
Astronomy is discover real space or fictional space.
That's the real thing, I think. But what would you like to study?
Astronomy, biology, drama.
And what kind of astronomy did you say you want to study?
Star Wars astronomy.
The fictional.
Out of the rain, when you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange,
fly a spaceship. Ooh. If you're happy and you know it, and you really wanna show it. If you're happy and you know it, fly a spaceship.
Living with autism is not easy.
My children are resilient in the face of adversity. They have given me their genuine love and affection. They are my heroes. My elder child, Luke, now goes by Layla and has transitioned into a new chapter of her life as a college senior. My second child, Alan, wants to be surrounded by loving family.
Mexican culture and tradition is incredibly special. The diverse traditions and values within the community contribute to Mexico's rich, colorful, and vibrant nature. Celebration is a big part of this community, featuring a large variety of music and dance. One of the key pillars of Mexican society is family and education. Families tend to be large and include extended families. And in these communities, there tends to be more value in work rather than education, as the majority of families don't have the resources available to encourage their children to study. Oftentimes, these parents work extremely hard and do labor-intensive jobs to make ends meet.
For me, growing up I felt like I enjoyed my upbringing. It was mainly my parents going to work most of the time. My dad had graveyards, so he would wake up really late at night and go to work. And for my mom, she had usually 2 jobs, so she worked at Taco Bell and Round Table at that time. So for me, it was a lot of my childhood revolved around TV. When it came to education, my parents have always wanted a better life for me. I am the eldest in my family, and for me, my parents crossed the border just because there was a future here. It was just the American dream. My parents wanted something better for me. In terms of going to school, my parents pushed it on me, but they didn't know how the whole education system worked. The CSU, the UC level, the private schools, and then I was also very new because I didn't know if I could even go to college.
CLYLP, or the Chicano Latino Youth Leadership Project, is a program designed to provide Latinx students of all backgrounds with resources to further their education. Participants stay in a university dorm room and experience what it would be like to be a college student. Students are taken to the city capital to learn about state and local legislature and participate in a mock trial, which deals with important issues within the community. Workshops about various educational topics such as financial aid, choosing your major, applying to college, and more are given throughout the program. In addition to this, participants learn more about their culture with performances from Aztec and folkloric dancers, and they build a strong bond and friendship with each other. At the end of the program, there is a huge party and both mentors and participants can let loose and have fun, dancing and celebrating with each other, creating an environment of warmth and positivity, and a moment that they'll never forget.
Today, we gather here in Sacramento to commemorate 41 years of a transformative initiative, the Chicano Latino Youth Leadership Project.
Opportunity for students to meet students from other places in California and find that common ground and find those differences and see that unity and to celebrate knowledge, to celebrate culture, to celebrate their roots.
It's actually amazing just to see all these fellow Chicanos with us right now.
Without this program, I wouldn't develop leadership skills the ones I have now. I'm so grateful for these type of programs because now I went from being an ELD student to now being an ELD tutor.
I've met a community and a lot of speakers that have taught me a lot about my culture.
It has been a very unique and once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I'm worried.
Why?
But I feel better now that
Why
you
are
were
you
getting it.
worried?
Because I want to make sure you got it. 3 years ago when Nirvana Soul opened, I finally felt that there was an outlet for me to go somewhere, spend time, and feel seen, and feel comfortable, and feel as if I had space. And when I see Jeronica and Bianca, and Dap, but really Jeronica and Bianca, I see that we can do hard things.
I can, like, all those are good without anything. You can drink those.
I don't know. Is anyone inspired to get ground control?
No, I think
Coffee has been a lifelong passion of mine. As children, we grew up with our great-grandmother, and she always had coffee as her thing in the morning, and so she would share it with us. And I think from there that time we got to spend together was just always special, that I just love that. So from there, I got my first job in coffee at 16 and have just been navigating the world of coffee until we got here.
Getting our first location in downtown San Jose was amazing because we had tried to get that location 6 months earlier and we couldn't strike a deal with those owners, and they were incredible. Like, they were so supportive of us and they really wanted us in that space, but we just couldn't meet the number they were selling for. And so we hit the road and went back to calling vacancies, and they emailed us way later and said, hey, are y'all still interested in this space? And we were like, hell yeah, we are.
It's hard to tell the same thing all over again this quickly. Okay, so we reached out to Loring and we asked them what it would take to get the roaster that we have now. They gave us a price, they gave us a timeline, and that timeline was going to be at least 7 months to a year before we can get it actually in the roastery. So we're like, oof, okay, I guess Guillermo's just going to go back and forth in the meantime. Like, we'll put in our deposit, we'll wait until we can get it. About a couple days later or so, they called us back and they were like, hey, one of our customers just canceled their order for the roaster that you want. If you guys can figure out how to get it, you can have it. Like, it's yours. I mean, we paid for it, but it's yours. And so that was just the universe again giving us a little nod that this was the right thing to do. So we were able to get that here, get that installed. And we sort of have been roasting ever since. Like, we obviously had to get an actual person roaster, which turned out to be our head roaster, Alex.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. You ready?
I am.
Okay.
My name is Alex. I've been in coffee for about 10 years now and roasting for 4 or 5. Been with Nirvana Soul for about 2 years. I really wanted to come and be a part of this. I really believe in the mission and just the whole goal behind Nirvana Soul. I had the pleasure of watching them kind of blossom before I came here for the first year that they were around. Yeah, that's why I wanted to be part of Nirvana Soul.
So much more flavors in coffee than just what it is, and that there's now so much difference between all of them. Like, processes, where it comes from and how it's roasted. There's so many different flavors that it could go for, and I think that's really cool. And I'm still growing. Still, like 50% of the time I'm like, this still tastes like coffee, and I have to go back and revisit it over and over again before I actually start to like think of words. I think that's also cool. Like, describing how coffee tastes is not just flavor, but it's also like color and experience. And I think that has made me more comfortable with coffee in general.
I was a shift lead for a couple months, and then when Cupertino opened up, I was the assistant store manager for 4 months, and now I'm the project manager. And I've been in that position for over a year now. But working with my peers, you know, it was challenging, you know, trying to, I guess, distinguish between going into a leadership role and being their friend. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I still have to, you know, make sure that the things that run the shop get done.
Where we are going to start seeing a lot more local businesses run by maybe black people and other minority groups, because they're like being given an opportunity. I think I see a lot of parallels. I didn't really start to look into it until I worked at Nirvana Soul. I feel like Nirvana Soul has helped me do is just grow and, like, you know, find myself, like, who is Julian, what Julian wants to achieve, and like what kind of impact I want to make on the people that are around me. It may not reach the whole world, obviously that would be lovely, but like at least like the people in my immediate vicinity, you know. So that's something that's super important to me.
You gonna cry? No, I'm not gonna cry though, but it is. So we had just opened up downtown, and I mean, again, I didn't know downtown was gonna blow up like it did, but we had so many people coming in, and a lot of kids coming in and wearing their natural hair, and seeing me and Bianca with our natural hair, and just almost making you feel like you were a celebrity, wanting to hug you, wanting to touch you, just like so excited, and just their parents kind of being emotional. And we didn't get to grow up seeing you know, someone that looks like us doing something like this. And I don't, you know, our mom definitely didn't take us to, like, you know, a place like this. And for those kids, they're seeing something that they've never seen before. So now, and now it's part of their life. So now they have possibilities. It's like, not like, okay, maybe this can happen. No, I know black women that actually open up this business, that are here, that are hands-on, and now I know I can do anything too. And to me, that's always special.
The coffee is amazing. The people are even better. And I think that Nirvana Soul has shown me what comfort and healing spaces look like in this community.
Nirvana Soul is about bringing people together through the power of coffee and tea, and that's all people, right? Like, no matter your age, no matter your background, like, we want everyone to feel safe here, and like this is home. And we hear it all the time. People say this feels like home to them, and we take that very seriously. So yes, we want more stores, of course, but we want to grow and scale in a way that's responsible, and yeah, just continue bringing people together and fulfilling our mission.
It's not recording.
A filmmaker right now, like
You
it's
know.
giving Spike Lee. I don't know.
Okay. When you're Martin Luther King. That was really good. Whoa.
Awesome. We're huge fans. Yeah, hey, we should support. Yeah, can you give credit to Morgan and Stella? Of course. This is my 2 daughters. Seriously, Quien Sabe is definitely who we're most excited to see tonight.
Buenas noches. Somos Quien Sabe. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to dance.
The mission for Quien Sabe is to move you, to create music that moves you and inspires you. Música que te mueva, you know, de que te mueva el bote, el cuerpo, move your body, get moving, to moving your mind, getting you to think a little bit.
To describe music is describing, you know, sadness, happiness, healing, celebrations.
Music is everything to me. I don't just think it's important, I think it's a fundamental part of the evolution of a child, of a human, is to know art, you know.
Saludos a Morgan y a Stella. A huevo. Y nos vamos. Donde la cumbia suena. Desde el condado de Monterrey, California y puntos intermedios, nosotros somos los meros cumbiameros del país de Sabina.
Outside of Quien Sabe, I'm very active in trying to create change. I'm a community advocate for artists, public servant.
I teach at a prison right here in California where me and Carlos actually give a guitar and songwriting class.
I'm a behavior specialist. I work with kids that have trauma and disabilities, mental disabilities.
I'm teaching here in Salinas Valley, Alisal District, teaching ukulele.
I teach at Alisal Center for the Fine Arts. They provide free classes to students of Eastside Salinas. They do visual arts, they do folklorico, music.
I'm the program director for Artist Inc. I create programs of art that complements education, core curriculum.
I work for the Alisal School District in Salinas, and I work with the program of Alisal Community Arts Network. Right now we're at 12 different schools and we teach music.
Yeah, I think music is helpful in so many aspects of life. It's such a playful way to grow as a human.
Music is important in learning how to count, learning rhythm.
to teach just basic organizational skills. And to me, it's really cool that they're learning that through a music program when that's something that they could use to put into any kind of aspect of their professional or educational or personal lives. I've seen a lot of kids develop social skills through music programs, and that's really special to me because that's how I was when I was a kid. And when I started playing music, that's what really brought me out of my shell, and that's where I found my voice. Everything that I couldn't say with words, I was able to say with music. And when I see that happen with other kids, when they go from being that super introverted, quiet kid to now being part of this group that's generating this positive energy and it brings out their personality, that's a really beautiful thing.
There was a lot of inspirational mentors in my school and in my journey. I think it creates a chain reaction, somebody helps you, then you help another person, and it just keeps happening. And I think that's the beauty of life and community. If we could come together, we can help each other out.
The main thing, I guess, is just being able to give that opportunity that I didn't have back to kids that I see a little bit of myself in.
Yeah, it's just trying to be that light that kind of shines them towards, what is possible and really attainable.
Yeah, it's a blessing, honestly, to be able to give back to my community.
It just makes me feel good.
That's one of the biggest things that I want as part of my legacy as a musician, is to have impacted people's lives in a positive way.
Dear Mom, looking at birthday cakes reminded me of my birthdays as a child and how food brought the whole family together. I grew up in the Philippines until I moved to the US when I was 4 years old, and I remember Christmas being a big celebration for our family and all the food you would make for us. That is why today I am trying to make one of my favorite dishes you always made for me, kare kare. Whenever I eat kare kare, I am transported back to my childhood and your dish. You would have oxtail, tripe, eggplant, okra, string beans, bok choy, and a hefty dose of peanut butter sauce. It was food that I ate when I needed a hug or when there was something to celebrate. I remember all the times you would make us dinner while Brother Mugsi, Sister Undang, and I would be doing our homework. I fondly remember hearing the sounds of you chopping the veggies, the wild swings and hard thuds of the meat cleaver, and the constant humming sizzle of the garlic sautéing as a symphony of white noise. At times, I like to guess what dish you're making for dinner based on the aroma whiffing out. This is a simple dish, but can be difficult in the sense that it takes a lot of time for the oxtail to cook properly, where the meat needs to be tender enough to fall off the bone. However, if it's cooked too quickly, the meat would be too tough and it would be too hard to chew. It's ironically no different than our relationship. It took a long time for us to understand each other. I quickly assimilated to the American culture, and you were still holding on to traditional values. I thought of you being antiquated, and you thought of me being unnecessarily difficult. Now, being a mom myself with 2 boys, I realize how much pressure we are under. We are unforgivingly held to a high standard of being the perfect mother, and nothing less. But now, I see that you are doing your absolute best, and that is imperfectly perfect. Eventually, things started getting better, which improved with every dinner we had together. The food was familiar, it reminded me of my grandma, but I started making new happy memories with you. If there is anything I want you to know, is thank you for being patient with me while I adjusted to the US. We had a lot of communication barriers, but for you, cooking was your love language, and it was understood by both of us. Just like you, I will let the food speak for itself, but not before I say one more thing. I love you, Mom.
Okay, so that is the conclusion of the screening portion of tonight's event. Let's give another round of applause for everyone's films. Okay, so now that we have finished watching these 8 very different, interesting documentaries, we are going to start the Q&A portion of the night. So we're going to take the next few minutes to talk with all of our participants, and this is your opportunity to ask them questions. If that's about inspirations or the process of making their film, now is your chance to ask them in person. We're going to have a couple mics floating around the audience, so start thinking of your questions. And I will also invite this year's cohort to join me up front. I know you don't want to, but so yeah, this year's cohort, everyone. Okay, give us a moment while we distribute mics. Okay, so is anyone brave enough to be our first participant in the Q&A tonight? We have any brave souls out there? There we go.
Hello, everybody. I have a question for Jaime. Just wondering, what are your future plans and your engineering pursuit?
Hello? Hello, can everyone hear me? Hey, Luis.
Check.
Hello? Oh, sorry, I kept pressing it. I thought you had to, press it every time I talked. Thanks for the question, Luis. Thanks for coming. My future plans that I planned out for next year is just taking on the fear that I've always had of just what if I applied and I get rejected? And that's always been my fear. The ways I taught facing my fears is just trying to do things that are much more difficult, like hiking Mount Whitney or hiking really long hikes. And I thought that would be the first step towards advancing against my fears. And after all like that 1 year that I gave myself, I came out a different person. I'm more confident with what I'm doing now, and now I'm planning my next year. It's just using my network, asking my friends of just what do I want to do to get to where I want to be. So it's always for me. It's always been science fiction based. I talked about it a little bit in the film. I'm a big person when it comes to The Martian, so that's all I want to do is just bridge the future with where we're at right now. Thanks.
Okay, who out there wants to ask the next question? Okay, over here.
This question's for Helena and for Yvonne. Just loved your stories. They were amazing, and they're so brave and so powerful. And I just wanted to ask, what was your biggest epiphany in making this documentary as it applies to the special needs community, and how do you plan to market to get the word out about these beautiful documentaries?
Okay. Thank you for the compliment. For me, I realized right before the diagnosis of my son, it was hard getting the news, even and getting stuck in that space where we didn't know whether it was autism or not. So I realized that, not knowing where to go was the hardest thing. And, it's been a year since the diagnosis, and he's been, going to therapy, and we have seen a lot of progress. And that made me realize how many more, parents and caregivers and families are stuck in that space where whether they know or not. So I'm trying to reach out to those, people and to get them out to, the other side of the fence, and, let them know that they're not alone. And it's not as scary as it seems from the other side.
For myself, I have always wanted to learn the filming process because my second son, Alan, wanted to be a filmmaker. So I contacted CreaTV and say, can you come up with some one-on-one lesson for a person like my son? CreaTV, I think I talked to Constance, and CreaTV had a lot of interest in what I said. But then after all, without having something bridge the distance between knowing how to offer something for a person who has a very different learning style from among the existing programs. So it's very hard for CreaTV to just jump in and say, here's the class. So I decided, the first thing I did was I became a member. And then I received email and saw that, oh, you have this DocuMentorMe. Good. I will jump in, I will learn the skills, and maybe I will make a film. And through this experience, I can learn how to teach my son and others like him. And maybe I can generate some kind of material, training material for the station. So if in the future someone else is knocking on the door and say, can you provide this training? And then we have the experience, right? So we can carry out to the community. And so that's why I joined this program, as why I chose this glass jar as a symbol. That was really from my own experience as a foreign student. It's just such a sensation. I walk on the street, but I'm just a total outsider. And then I realized that just like your son is looking out the window, my sons are looking out, looking at other people all the time. So I realized that there was something similar between my strange social disconnection feelings and what they are experiencing day in, day out. So I decided to use that as my theme. And the door shut. My first child, Layla, really helped me with that because he changed to she. She's very good at visualizing her feelings. So I was just being truthful to what she told me. It's very difficult because when I was going through the film, he was the little boy. We have no idea that he's going to turn into a woman. So that's why it is really hard for me to do the gender change. So while I was making the film, I rushed a little bit because I was struggling with all the application, Adobe Rush. So the program was crashing all the time because I used so many pictures. So I didn't have time to do a good acknowledgement, and I just quickly throwing something. But in my heart, all those wonderful people who are so creative and they help our kids do better things and with such love, like Jessica down there, and she was a guitar instructor. And she was just so wonderful. Every time I saw her, I just feel that I have to make a documentary about her. What made her so wonderful? And Deanna is the executive director of College of Adapted Arts. She and several others came up with this nice organization. After high school, it was a very difficult period of time for our grown-up little kids who needs full-day programming, but then where can they go, right? As I indicated in the film, there's a long wait list for all kind of programs for them, and so we have Deanna there, and so I really want to follow up with a document. The first half is, remember Hafiz quote, I wish you know, in the darkness and loneliness, the astonished light of your own being. And after that, the verse said that the sun never say to the earth, you owe me. That's the love that light up the whole sky. So I think that I will use the second part of verse to come up with a second movie about those loving people, creative people that really make a difference for our son's life and consequently for my life as well. Thank you.
Okay, who has the next question for the rest of our documentarians here? Back there.
Hello. Would like to congratulate all of you on awesome documentaries. My question is for Chuck. Your documentary sort of projecting the death of the African American community in the Santa Clara area sort of seems to clash with the documentary about like Nirvana Soul and the kind of growth of the community and sort of like solidification of kind of the community in that way. I'm wondering if you see a path out of what you've projected or what you're kind of inferring from the data and kind of how the community can move forward and kind of avoid that issue.
Very good question. So I don't know if you know a lot of Black people, but our experience is generally a joyful one. It's been a journey of joy in the face of despair, quite honestly, for most of us, for a lot of us. But let's not forget that black business isn't new. It's been destroyed in the past, but it's not new. If you know the story of Red Summer, you know the story of black folks being drowned in rivers as they're pushed from East St. Louis. You know the story of Detroit and black business owners being killed in the streets. You know the story of Tulsa and Black Wall Street being destroyed. So this dynamic has always been a part of our lives, but we still prosper where we can. My project has been based on not just my own life's experiences. So I have this saying, I've said it before. If you know me, you've probably heard me say this. Luck is all of life's experiences coming together to influence one event. And if you live a good life, then good luck should follow. This project has been not only my life experience from a child in the projects, generationally poor, to a college graduate who focused on economics because I finally found clarity in my living condition in the numbers. Because the state that many of us, and I'm speaking from a black perspective because that's who I am, I'll be this way the rest of my life, that many of us experience as a part of a structure. Poverty is a structure. It's not a happenstance. What's happening within this community is part of a structure. Our unemployment trends don't just happen. This is structural. We've been recording this phenomena for too long to call it anything else. When I finally, after many years of holding this data close to me, because I didn't want people to say, oh, that's not true. How do you know that? It took me years to pull together this data using tools that are available to you, to all of you. This is publicly available data that draws this picture and this conclusion. So while there's always hope, and there's certainly always love, this piece should start a conversation. That's my intent. There are many solutions. Nirvana Soul is one of many solutions, and we should all see many, many more of those. But unfortunately, statistically, I'm right, and I'm afraid, and I hope you are too.
Okay, we have about 5 more minutes, so I think we can get maybe 1 to 2 more questions in. Do we have any other? Oh, back there? Okay.
Hi. First and foremost, congratulations. Amazing work. My question is how or what was the process going from your theme or your idea to putting it in writing to then putting it up on the big screen?
Is this question for
in general, whoever wants to take the question?
Oh man. Okay. So when I wanted to make the documentary, I really just wanted to think about something that I loved, and I loved Nirvana Soul. So I mean, I think that being in San Jose, it was probably the only place where I really felt, like Miguel said, that I could be me. I never saw so many Black people like what I did when I went to Nirvana Soul, and I loved it. And it was just something that I felt like more people should know about and appreciate, because it's not just Black people who feel special when they go to Nirvana Soul. It's everybody, but most importantly, Black people. So I think during the process, I had started very sure of myself. I knew what I wanted to do. And then I let other people's opinions kind of get in my head. And I kind of watched the documentary turn into something that I didn't really envision when I started. And it really took somebody telling me it doesn't matter if everybody likes your project. If you don't like it, there's no point in putting it out. So I really had to utilize this documentary as a way to like find my artistic voice. Like, who am I? What do I want to say? What am I doing it for? And once I had those answers, it was kind of like easy. Like, I know why I chose Nirvana Soul. I know how it makes me feel, regardless if it makes other people feel that way. It's how it makes me feel. So how does that show up in the clips? So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
For me, I originally just wanted to create like a cooking video about Filipino food, and I realized it's kind of surface level. It's been done 1,000 times, and so I kept going back to like what the essence of the story is. And at first, it was another like surface level, like a relationship with the daughter and the mom, but then it's not. It wasn't the truest story unless speaking about the hardships and how it really connected with everything else. And so just finding that truth and like the sweetest story that can come out, because initially, it was hard for my wife, Arlen, and her mom, and we could just take it as is. But then every time I get to know more and through more conversations, I realize, no, there's something more sweet in here that I need to tell. So hopefully I got that through, but yeah, that's how I got through it.
I kind of feel like this question should be the last one, then everyone give a little piece. So everyone gets, is that okay with you all? Yeah? Okay. Take it away, Nicole.
I had many motivations for doing this program and for picking the film and the subject. But I think a big one was just to find joy. And I did. I want to spend the rest of my life following bands around the world. That's it. Thank you.
I have said plenty, but I do want to thank Helena, because originally when I did the consent piece, I didn't think I would use it, but she said you got to use it, so I used it. I think that can help me convey the difficulties of people who do not have social intuition. Thank you.
For me, I had a lot of ideas that I really wanted to do, but I participated this summer in a summer camp called CLYLP. I'm sure you guys saw from the video. But it really, I would say it was a life-changing experience for me, because I'm from Cupertino, and if you live in Cupertino, you know about it. There's not a lot of us Mexicans out there. So when I went to that camp, everybody was from Mexico or some kind of Spanish-speaking country. And I felt like I really found my people. I felt like, I belonged there. I learned about things about my culture I didn't really know. And I felt like that was important and I should showcase it. So that's why I chose the topic.
When I first got into the program, the topic was to make a film about women artists. And it's still something I'm passionate about, because I'm an artist and I'm a woman, I'm a mother. But then like a couple of weeks in, I realized, my son's condition needed more attention. It's not just about my son, but I wanted to speak for, all kids all over with disabilities. And so I changed it to this topic on autism. And the title, like I mentioned, the film, was written way before the diagnosis, while we were in that space of uncertainty, because that is, the one takeaway that I would like for everyone, to walk out with is to, remember that everybody matters. We say this all the time. We all know this, but I think kids with disabilities or kids who are different than us, they don't have to have disabilities, but different, are overlooked. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity, at least to get this word out. And I would like the conversation to continue. Thank you.
So as I said before, this has been a journey for me for a long time. Actually, I've been bugging my friends and family every time I find another piece of data, and I say, "Did you know this?" My poor wife. I'm sorry. So that the journey has been a long one, including me walking around with a long paper that's really boring and hard to understand, with terms that seem normal but really are not, to a slide deck that I thought was digestible and it's easy. See, here, just watch this, slide by slide, as people try to understand. And then this opportunity came up. And it's like I said, it was kind of luck. Hopefully this is much more digestible. Hopefully it's just enough information for you to start asking questions. And that's really what this journey has been like for me. But another part of this journey that was totally unexpected was this group of amazing people. I mean, I've learned so much that I did not understand. I didn't even know I didn't know. But of course, the other folks who work here for a living, but they do it because they love it. So, anyway.
Hello. Oh, perfect. Yo lo hice para mi familia. I did it for my family. At the end, I finished graduating and I wanted to wrap up my whole life. Like, who am I? And it all started to where I was born. And the biggest risk my family took was coming here. And the next part was like wrapping, like, where did I grow up? Like, why do I think the way I think? And for me, that was like a journey of just like a naked journey of like where I'm just like just a bare bottom question of who am I? And I feel like that's really important when you're taking off in a journey, is understanding who you are, because that helps a lot when you need to like get grounded when something hard comes up. And so for me, at the end of my film was just like, I love taking risks. I took the risk of getting my bachelor's with aerospace engineering. I knew there wasn't going to be a happy ending after I graduated. I knew I wasn't going to find a job. They all require citizenship, permanent residency. I knew I didn't have it. But at the end, I wanted to take that risk because I wanted to follow my dream. And that's what I've been trying to do so far. It's just, I'm trying to flex my way and open the doors to let myself in. And I have to really thank a lot of my family for that. I have to thank my friends, my mentors, a lot of the programs who have helped me from the very beginning, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to dream this crazy ambition that I have. So thank you so much.
Okay, so that concludes our Q&A portion of the night, and we have a little bit of gratitude ceremony for you guys. We like to end each program that we have with a giving of some roses, because really, truly, we do appreciate you all. And I know it sounds corny, but every single group of people, I always feel like, wow, I learned so much from everyone. Truly been a pleasure to work with all of you and see where your ideas start and where they end, and the process throughout the whole thing. And so we just want to celebrate your effort and your time and your growth, because it really is just a pleasure to be a part of. So without further ado, I'm going to give the first one to Tashaya. Um, it's just been great to see your style and your vision materialize, and yeah, we're lucky to have you part of this. So, okay.
I would like to give the next one to Helena. It was such a joy working with you. I know you ran into a lot of problems with programs crashing, and I just love that you kept on striving and kept on working hard, and the documentary shows all the work that you did. So it was such a joy having you here, and I am super happy that everything worked out okay for you. Oh, have Helena come to you.
Okay, the next person that I would like to give a little something to is Nicole, because you have worked so hard and you have so much footage that you had to sort through. Truly, it's been a journey, but to see the way your project has evolved is amazing. Yeah, yeah.
I'll give the next one to Joseph, who I keep on calling Andrew by accident. I'm sorry about that. Andrew, Joseph. You're one of the few people that wanted to go above and beyond and learn the more complex things. So instead of using Adobe Rush, using Premiere Pro, using the Sony a7 III cameras, I'm just glad that you were one of the people that just wanted to do their best in this program. And your documentary really highlights all the hard work that you did, and I really enjoyed working with you all the times that you came in and doing one-on-one work with you. Super happy that I got to be a part of this with you.
Okay, the next person to come up here is Cynthia. It's been so fun working with you. I appreciate your energy and your style, and always just being such a wonderful presence in the classroom and doing great work. I'm really...
Next one I want to give this to is Jose. From the very first class, you came in with your high energy, and it stayed throughout the entire course. That is one thing that I really do appreciate from you. Every single class was coming in with a smile, saying hi to everybody, and staying after class and wanting to learn more about audio, learning more about the Sony a7 that you recorded on. And it was such a joy working with you and seeing your progress from having the rough cut to now the fine cut and the final documentary. And I just loved working with you, and hope the best for you in the future.
Okay, the next certificate is for Chuck. Thank you for, bringing your intelligence and all your data and observation. Truly, so much work went into your idea even before the work of making it, and you're sharing important information with everyone, and cannot say thank you enough for what you've been doing. And here you go.
All right. And the last certificate that we're going to hand out is to Yvonne. Yvonne, I feel like out of everybody here, I was in contact with you the most. And it was, unfortunately because the equipment wasn't working correctly, but I am so glad that you had the persistence, you had the drive to keep on wanting to work. You came in before class started, working extra hours. One of the hardest working participants, I will say. It was such a joy having you here. I'm glad that everything came out okay and you were able to export your project perfectly. So thank you so much for all your hard work.
And Constance.
Okay, so that concludes the studio portion of the night. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, I sound like a broken record at this point, but truly, thank you for being an amazing cohort. It was truly wonderful to work with all of you. And now, all that's left to do tonight is to go eat and mingle and celebrate and enjoy each other's company. So thank you all for being with us, and feel free to join us in the reception room for some food. Thank you so much. Oh, wait. I'm so sorry. Participants, please hold on just a moment. I would like us to all remain a unit so we can go take group pictures together. And then after that, we can go get food. Okay. Thank you.